Hello everyone, and a warm welcome to the 9th episode of the Dadaxi. I'm really happy that you're here with me today again. And yeah, like what I want to talk about today is being creative. And that also links in with what I talked about in the last episode about the yin and yang and the male and female energies. Because as I said in the last episode, I cannot really cover this subject. I don't even think I could cover it if I did a whole podcast about it, because there's so much just to tell about all of these things. But I think one main thing that we can pin down that is different in male and female energy that lives within us is that the female energy is the receiving part, it's the open part. And the male energy is the giving part, so it's the closed part. And in today's world, that is very much influenced by capitalism, and capitalism doesn't have a limit. So capitalism always prefers the open things. Yeah. So in our mind, most of times, open is good and closed is not good, right? Open is starting something, closed is ending something. And that's not necessarily true with the energy within us. Yeah, I mean, it is, but on a deeper level. So let me explain. When I have an idea, for example, I have this idea about the bodies and the book I wrote, then that's the female energy that kind of was open in all the situations that I experienced as a complete human being. There was this side of me, the feminine energy, that was open. It was open to receive new inputs. It was open to receive certain insights or like even just intuition or guidance towards certain events or certain books or certain people that said certain things. And it kind of was just absorbed because the left side, the female side in us, is open, so it absorbs things. Yeah, it's the soft side when we look at it from Chinese medicine, but it's also the cold side. So it just gets absorbed, yeah, because we are open. And then when this idea takes form within me, which is actually when things are starting to take form, you can imagine that that is a dance between the male and the female aspect within you. Yeah, so you have this idea. Let's say like a couple of years ago, I had this idea that I want to pass on my knowledge about spiritual tattooing and hand poke tattooing and everything that comes with it. So I wanted to do a workshop. And then first there is this idea. Yeah, and in the moment that the idea is in form in my body, it becomes an information. Yeah, that's what inform is all about. It's about being in form. Yeah, so as soon as from everything that I've experienced, the conclusion comes that, oh, I want to do that workshop, then I'm already in the dance of the female and the male. Because to put the workshop out there means, first of all, structure at least a little bit what I want to say in the workshop. Structure how I want to convey the knowledge that I have to the people that come to the workshop. What shall the price be for such a workshop? How many days should it last? And all of these things. These are male aspects, yeah? They're closed. And I'm just saying this with this example because it's a very good example to see that closed things and limitations, I said that before, I will say it many times again. Limitations are what frees us. Limitations are what actually provides a certain space. If I don't have a border, I don't have a space. If I don't have the space, how could it provide for the idea to blossom? How could it provide? Like if I just go out there and I say, hey people, I want to do something. I don't really know what. I don't really know how, but I want to do it. Nobody will feel called to come to my workshop because it's just like, oh yeah, it's just a blob. Yeah. And that's where the male energy is so important. Yeah, it looks at the idea of the female energy, so to speak, and this is all a subconscious process. Yeah, like most of us will not feel or even perceive this process in any way, but it's happening within all of us, and that's what I call creative alchemy, or the alchemy that births every kind of creation. It doesn't matter if you invent Tupperware, if you invent a new kind of dildo, or if you write a book like I did about the journey of being human. It doesn't matter. It's always the same thing. It's this idea. An idea always blossoms from other inspirations. You got input, and this made this idea blossom. And then it's always needed to have the male energy inside that says, okay, let's structure this. For example, like I have 15 years of experience in tattooing, so I cannot pack 15 years into a workshop. But with my male energy, I can find out, or I can filter out, what is the information that is actually needed, and what is the information that might be important at some point later on in the journey, but right now it would actually hinder the process of growing. Because in my honest opinion, that's a bit of the issue with today's world as well, is that we give all the information to everyone all at once. And that's not necessarily serving. Yeah? So, for example, when you do Aura School, it's the first Aura School that I put out there. It's for the members of Enzo Elia. And you are with each body of your aura for 63 days. And there is no way around that number. And that's simply because these things have to really sit deeply. And if we do not build a good foundation for things, then what is the rest worth, you know? If you do Aura School, and you really learn how to love and connect with your body and with your emotions and with your thoughts and with your visions, and you recollect certain aspects of yourself that maybe were lost along the journey, it's very important that the base, so that would be like the first body is the physical body, and then it's very important that the relationship to that first body is established fully, and the connection is fully made. If I give you everything that follows already in the beginning, I mean, for sure you can scroll through. It's not limited, like there is no wall. So you can do it in, like if you choose to, you can do it all at once. But if you do that, chances are that you will not arrive where you could arrive if there would have been a limitation in the beginning. Yeah? So what I experience, for example, a lot in my workshops is that people see the designs that I hand poke, and they see the designs that other artists tattoo with machines, and they see other hand poke artists that maybe have a different style than I have, and they want to come to the workshop and they want to do these designs afterwards. They want to be able to ink these designs. And I totally love that. But that's not something that you will be able to learn within a couple of days or a couple of weeks or even a couple of months. It's simply something that you learn over practice. Yeah. So when we do the class, I always start with very small designs because, you know, if you can tattoo a line perfectly, and you can place that line on the body perfectly so it matches the flow of the chi, because that's what I teach also in my workshop. So it's not only interesting for people that actually want to learn how to tattoo, but also for people that want to learn how to work with chi in general, with their own and with that of clients. But anyway, so if you can tattoo a proper line by hand and you know where to put that line on the body, so it influences the chi in a beneficial way, or not at all, but it doesn't like have negative effects. If you can do that perfectly, then it's only a matter of practice until you will be able to do bigger designs, to do different designs. You know, like if you can do that perfectly, you will do everything perfectly afterwards, because you can build on that. Yeah. Like when I started to tattoo, because it was never my goal to actually become a tattoo artist. All I wanted was to actually like being able to tattoo myself. And I just really love everything about handmade things. So that was like just the way to go for me. It was at a time where nobody was talking about hand poke tattoos or something like that, like real tattoo, like tattoo artists that worked with machine actually told me that I'm not a real tattoo artist because I don't work with a machine, although the result that I created was a tattoo. Anyways, what I'm trying to say here is something that Bruce Lee said very well, so I'm going to quote him here. And he said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." So whenever we start something, it's like if we really want to succeed and become really, really good at it, it's best to practice the most simple step in the beginning as much as we can. Because from that step, all the others arise. If you are able to tattoo a line and you're able to tattoo dots and you're able to place these designs on the body in a way that is beneficial for the wearer, you can do anything from that base. But if you want to do a flower of life design with 2 days of experience in hand poke tattooing, the energy of that tattoo will just not be right. And that's just logical, no? Because like it's always the beginning. So I give you another example. Like 6 months ago, I started to learn how to play the flute. Like I played flute when I was a child, but I didn't want to learn how to read notes because I didn't want to mentalize sonic energy, so to speak. So I stopped. But now I was like, wow, I really want to play this Native American inspired flute. It sounds so lovely and it's rather easy to play because it's on the pentatonic scale. It's hard for me to explain. These are just tones that kind of are in relation to each other, so it's harder to make it sound off, okay? And then I got the flute, and I was like, yeah, I practiced that as a child, so I should still be able to do it, and man, was I wrong. Like, if you do not cover the holes in a flute really tightly, you will actually like create a very off sound, no matter if the flute is in the pentatonic scale or not. So it sounded very off, and I felt really bad for the people that lived with me because it was just like, oh my God. At some point I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to learn this because I have rather tiny hands with long fingers, and I choose a flute that was actually good for beginners. I didn't take a hard one because with the harder ones, the holes are more apart. So you really have to like learn how to stretch your fingers in the right way that it sounds right. Anyway, so like in the beginning I was devastated. I was like, oh my God, I can't even make a very easy instrument sound good, and what am I going to do now? And I was like, okay, so this is just the invitation that, I didn't start from the very bottom with something since like some years. So it was like kind of again in this process of, okay, hey, I'm just doing something new. So I can't be good at it. It would be weird if I was good at it. Okay, so let's take it slowly. And then I first just like, instead of listening only to the sound, I paid attention to how the flute feels in my hands. Because, when you put your hands or your fingers on the holes and you blow air through the flute, you will feel the air on your fingertips that are covering the holes. So instead of only focusing on the sound and focusing on, oh my God, all these people can play beautiful songs and I cannot even make a tone right, I just dove into the experience of playing the flute. And the experience of playing the flute is I sit or I stand somewhere. I have my shoulders in a certain way because I need to be able to like breathe in deeply, so I have a lot of breath for playing. And I hold the flute and I have to focus on how I hold my fingers and not take them away from the hole too far, because then when I want to put them back down, they might not hit the hole. And so it was really
a beautiful experience that showed me again why I teach the way I teach. Because when I teach tattooing, I do not teach it over how things look. I teach it over how things feel. Yeah, because you can feel when the needle is in the right depth. You can feel where the chi flows. It's all about feeling. It's about a physical sensation that everybody can learn, because we are sensible beings. And we are actually way more capable in sensing certain things than we thought we were. Like, for example, we now know today that people didn't just die when they ate poisonous plants and then everybody knew that was poisonous. They actually sensed, yeah? When we develop our senses far enough, we can actually communicate with plants or with animals or with crystals or with anything that's on Earth. But that's another topic. So what I wanted to point out is that when I do the class, I always tell the people that, hey, just start at the beginning. Really feel into what you are doing. Feel into your skin, because your skin is an organ. It is also a living being. Feel into the needle. Feel into the color. Feel into what you are doing here right now. And then from there, start the process of creating a line and a dot. Yeah? And it was exactly the same with the flute, because so I dove into this physical experience of playing the flute, and it sounded so awful, but I was like just focusing on just everyday practice. I practiced every day for 5 minutes because I have very strong ADHD, so for me oftentimes it's hard to, I can get into zones or into the flow state with things that I'm really good at, but with things that I'm not good at, that's more difficult. So I gave myself this time frame of 5 minutes each day that I played the flute very badly. And then, like, I think it took like 2 months or something until I was able to like hit all the holes at least. So it didn't sound that awful anymore. I still wasn't creating any melodies, but at least I was like not creating very awful sounds anymore. And then Spirit gave me, I was like, okay, what do I play now? And then Spirit showed me, and here again is the female principle of an idea. It showed me this very simple tune that I actually already had to memorize because I'm in a new field, so my fingers have no memory of like songs to play with the flute. So it took me some days to get it right and always play the same melody. And then like for the past 2 months, I only played this melody. And I again felt bad for the people that live in the same house because it must have sounded so boring, yeah? 5 minutes each day I play the same melody. And then like 2 months ago, suddenly I started to play that melody at double speed. And then I started to play it slower. And then now suddenly I start to play melodies that are not even related to that basic melody that I learned, but it just comes freely. And that's because I learned the basics. It's because I learned, and here we are with the male principle, yeah? The female body or energy of ideas and inspiration is beautiful. But oftentimes it doesn't really understand that things on a physical level take time, yeah? Not only healing takes time, learning takes time too. Like, and it doesn't matter, like for me also, like doing any kind of martial arts is a very creative process. For me, creativity is not only limited to creating a certain product that is labeled as art, yeah? Creativity can be like how you live your life, for example, or how you treat others. Everything can be creative. And the alchemy of creation, and here it comes to a lovely example that, you know, like I think the biggest example of creation that we have is when a woman and a man get together and they create a child. And I think you heard a lot of artists say before that their artwork feels like a child to them. Or for me, like the work I put out, because I will not have children in a physical sense, the work I put out is my babies. And I really, like, I live with them, I suffer with them, I do anything for them. And so, like, the closest thing I have to that when it comes to feeling is my cat. And my cat definitely also goes into the category of maybe being a little bit of my baby, yeah? So, and I truly believe that we all say that because it's this inner process of the female and the male energy getting together, creating something and birthing it out into the world. Yeah? So it actually is a birthing process. It's a birthing process of the energies. And now I want to go a little bit deeper into what these energies are or how they work. So, as I said before, the female energy is open and the male energy is closed. The female energy is receiving, it's wild, it's chaotic, and the male energy is giving, it's tamed, and it's about order. And they both are needed. Like, we often also see that people really start to thrive in their creative expression when they found their right partner. And that's also because of that. Because, like, life is not about one thing or the other. It's about the combination of the two. And I believe that what the problem is right now, we can even look at the system and the people that are in like a counteraction to it to show that more clearly. The system most definitely currently is in the male energy. Yeah, it needs structure, it needs order, it's very tame, it's very much of I give you if you behave a certain way. And it's very much in this certain structure, yeah? There's things you do, there's things you don't do, and so on. And the counter movement is, let's say, the punk movement. The punk movement is very wild, it's very chaotic, and it's very receiving in the way that a lot of these people just are on the streets and they ask for money from the other people that actually work in a system that they criticize. So, like, this is not a pro-punk or anything, but it's just funny for me to see when you understand the energies at work. Yeah? That I think we all in these, like, first world countries that are very, very much in concrete, not a lot of connection to nature, like even in Switzerland where there's still a lot of connection to nature, the mental system is super strong. It's super strong. And all of us kind of long for more wildness. We long for more connection to nature, to that wild aspect, that chaotic aspect that cannot be controlled, right? And I think a lot of us actually search for liberation of that need in doing drugs or going to parties or losing ourselves in habits that maybe are not that beneficial for our health. And I strongly believe that's where this movement comes in, although I'm not a part of it, with the divine feminine and why this is a topic at the moment. Because what we actually look for, that's just like my interpretation of what I see, is Lilith. Because, like, the system is still a successor of Christian Christian religion. So, and also Christian reality in that sense. So there was Adam and Eve. And Eve was made from Adam's rib and all of that stuff. But in the real Bible, there was Lilith. And Lilith was actually made before Adam was made, and she was her own being. And she didn't want to obey, so they kicked her out of paradise. And I believe that what our society needs is more of that Lilith embodiment, because Lilith frees both sides. This is not about female empowerment, it's about freeing both sides. Yeah, we all are kind of frozen in a system that's just too much male energy. And it doesn't matter if it's too much male or female energy, it will get stuck or it will get too chaotic. And what we're in right now is it got too stuck. Yeah. So to explain this a little bit more, let's say I have another comparison. Like when I write a book is very much right-hand path. A book is very much masculine energy. It's very much, I have this knowledge, I structure it, I write it down, and that's how it is. Especially how we view books today. Because in my understanding, or how I treat books in general, or knowledge in general, is that, oh, that's interesting, that's how far we got till now. And then I will think on, and I will have my own ideas, and I will have my own analyzations. And so a book to me is never, that's written in stone, that's how it is, how it always was, and how it always will be. A book is always only, that's how far we've gone. That's how far we've got until now. So where our society very often looks at books, let's say the Bible or whatever, as, okay, that's written in stone. That will be like that forever. I have the total opposite opinion. I'm like, okay, that they got that far and they wrote it down, and now it's our job to continue further. Yeah? So we always build on the books. And then they have their right to exist, right? And that doesn't mean that what was written in the Bible wasn't accurate for that time. But as we saw with the Bible, a lot of people can come and they can cut shit out, or they can put new shit in, or they can say, oh no, that wasn't meant like that, you know. So a book can never really embody a full truth. It's about who lives it. So when we then compare it to the web app that I have, Gnodise Auton, it's more of a female principle. An app in general is more of a female principle, because I can change everything that is shown in the app. It's fluent, yeah? It can like say one thing one day and it can say another thing the next day. Of course, if it's still compliant with all the rules and everything and with your clients. But like if I decide today that I want to change something in the book, I can change something in the book for the future. But the books that were already published or were read were consumed exactly as I gave them out. And I cannot change them today into what I want them to be. And that can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. And the app can be changed. Like if I decide today that I want to record all the risers again because I'm a perfectionist and I'm not happy with the quality or whatever, I can do that. And no matter how long you already have the app, you will have the new recordings in the web app. You will not have the old recordings. Once I upload the new ones, it's the new ones for everyone. Yeah? So you can see that you cannot have an app in your hand. You can have your phone in your hand and the app runs on the phone, but you cannot physically touch the app. You cannot, it's not possible. You can touch the book. You can write into the book. So here we can see how different the energies are of the female principle and the male principle within all of us. And now, to explain that in more depth, according to my theory, so to call it. So maybe you're already familiar with it, but I will cover it anyways. So what I've experienced is that the aura consists of 4 bodies, and then energy that kind of flows through these bodies. And when I'm talking about the female and the male principle here, I'm talking about how the energy flows through those bodies, okay? It's like with a battery, yeah? In a battery, you have a plus side and you have a minus side. And this is what actually gives the energy, that there is these poles, and between the poles, the energy flows. And it's exactly the same with female and male energy. It's the 2 poles, and they are needed for the energy to flow in both directions. Yeah? So at the center of your aura is your physical body, the one that you can perceive right now that you're in. It's connected to the element of earth, and it's all about physical sensations. It's about feeling. Yeah? Now, around your physical body, the first layer, or the first next body, would be the emotional body. It's connected to water as an element, and then follows the next ring, so to speak, which is the mental body, or the thoughts. That would be the fire element. And then comes the air element, which is the most outer layer of your aura, which is the astral body. Now, when energy flows through the body or through the bodies. It on one hand goes, let's say, your aura is all around you. But just to keep things simple, we imagine now these circles in front of us, right? The physical body in the center, yellow, then the emotional body as blue, then the mental body as red, and then the astral body as turquoise or greenish blue, or however you want to envision it. And then energy always flows out and in. So there is a constant communication between the bodies, in and out, yeah? So on one hand, the male aspect of the energy is flowing out. It's giving. The female energy is flowing in. It's receiving. And that's what I said before. When you have an inspiration, you may think that it came just in this one moment, but most probably this is information that has been coming in through the bodies of your aura. Through, and here we can say, if you listen to an inspiring podcast, then there is new inspiration coming in through the astral body, because the astral body works with visions, works with inspiration. Then, if you maybe have a very emotionally nurturing experience with another person, or with a movie that you watch, or whatever, there comes inspiration in on the emotional level. So that would be the emotional body. If you talk to someone and you have a really intellectual discussion that just inspires you to think differently or to look at the world differently, then there was something coming in for the mental body. Yeah? And if you maybe had a beautiful interaction with someone where you got a lot of touch, or you have a new hobby that really satisfies you on a physical level, then that's inspiration for the physical body. And so this comes in, and then if I want to give it out again, the physical body might be inspired to hug someone, and that would be the male energy processing out again. Or the mental body says something, like has a discussion with somebody else because they're so interested in a topic and they make them think in a different way. Yeah? So it's always getting in and then it goes out again. Yeah, and we're just a conduit, so to speak. Always we're just a conduit. And these energies are both very needed. But as you can also see in today's world, and especially in marketing, I think we can see it a lot in marketing, is that there is only the right-hand path. There is only giving. There is only out. Yeah? I post things on social media, and very rarely I promote something, but mostly I am within my own energy. And I know that the people that look for me will find me. It gets harder because there are so many people out there making so much noise that you don't really find the pearls anymore, so to speak. But still, like this, marketing in general has gotten so aggressive. Yeah, like buy this, buy that, buy more, consume more. And there is definitely a lack of balance when it comes to these two bodies. There is a lack of... And again, nobody's at fault here. It's actually the system, yeah? Because as long as Wall Street is designed in a way that everyone has to make more profit every year, that's not going to change. And we can only be in the male energy in the work world. So it's a systematic error. It's not that some person has decided that it will be like that and now it is like that. But yeah. That's where we can see it very good, that this outgoing thing that, you have to present yourself. Like another thing that really occurred to me last week was we arrived at a point where followers don't say anything about the quality of your work. Because with TikTok, social media really has changed into this 3-second TV show platform, so to speak, and it doesn't even matter what app you use. And it's all about how good you can present yourself. And from my experience, and I'm not even talking online experience, I'm talking life experience, the people that can present themselves the best are rarely the ones that are the best. Simply because presenting yourself takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of a certain skill. And the skills that are needed to present yourselves kind of are the opposite skills of what you need to be creative and being an artist. Yeah? So, like most artists I know, they just want to create art. They are not interested in how many followers they have. They just want to make a living with their art, just like I am. Like, I don't want to be famous. It's all of that is not of interest to me. I just want to live a happy life, living from what I love doing. And happy life doesn't mean to become super rich or whatever. That's just not the goal, Like, I just want to live a happy life. And a lot of artists I know are the same. And we don't necessarily, I do art because how it feels to my clients, how it feels to me. I don't do art to present it on social media. I don't do art and then film myself all the time while doing it only so I have content for social media. That's just not who I am. And I'm not judging whoever does this, but it just came to my, I know a lot of really good tattoo artists. And the ones that are really, really, really good, they don't have a lot of followers. They really don't. Let's say, what do I mean by not a lot? Less than 10K. All the artists that I know that have more than 10K followers are very good in presenting themselves. And they are not necessarily the best artists in their field. And I'm not like, there are, of course, exclusions to that rule. But that's just, it appeared to me that, it's again, social media has turned into like a classroom. The one that's the loudest isn't necessarily the best or the most intelligent or the most nice, because what he is the most loudest. He's the loudest. And that's, so it's very interesting to me, because I think it also comes down to this very masculine approach to marketing that all of this developed the way that it has now. And I'm not complaining, I just think it's very interesting. It's very interesting how all of this goes. And there were a lot of times where, because in the last episode I talked about the left-hand path and the right-hand path. I mean, there are a lot of days where I wish that I could be on the right-hand path because it just seems so easy to me. Oh yeah, I read that book and then I believe that book is all there ever is to that information. And then I go out and I work with clients according to that book and I just follow everything from that book and it will be fine. That's what a lot of yoga teachers do. And it's beautiful. It's so nice. You have this book and it tells you everything and then you can go work with clients. Oh, that's beautiful. And I envy that sometimes because for me, it's just never that way. I sometimes really long for can I maybe just one time do the right-hand path? And then I do another workshop with a shaman, or I do another training. Let's say I have a lot of trainings, I'm a Reiki master, I'm a trance healer, I'm a quantum healer, and many more. But every time I do that, I come out and I love the new practice I have, but then I will make something different out of it. And it's beautiful, but it's so hard sometimes and that's what I said in the beginning, to tell people what I'm actually doing and to really frame it, because most of the times what I do is not there before. And then I like to give it a name that nobody heard before, so it gets even harder to even get people to find it. So people are looking for what I offer, but they don't find it because there are not really ways to describe it yet. So yeah, I long for that a lot of times, but then I look at the state of the world and I think again, no, it would actually be needed to walk more of the feminine energy path, of just doing, learning by the doing and doing a lot of mistakes. And I think that's Lilith, that not saying, oh yeah, I'm already good at it, so I will just do it. But saying, no, maybe I suck at it. I don't know how to do it, but I want to do it, so I'll do it. And yeah, just I don't know, becoming freer in our expression and also developing what we learned into our own offer. Yeah, because I believe that whatever you offer or whatever you create, there are certain people who will only want this from you because you have the right energy. It's so much more about the people who do it than only what is done. Yeah, I was at the dentist today and he was a new dentist. And I realized how good my old dentist was. And it's only a dentist. I'm there for 1 hour, but I actually really think of going back to my other dentist, although it's way more far away from where I live, simply because the energy was right. And when I'm currently having to go to the dentist a lot because my teeth are not doing good, then I want to go somewhere where I feel good, you know? And I think this is even more so when it comes to art or to healing of any kind or to teaching of any kind. Like when I do workshops, it's so important to me who teaches what I learn. Like I would even prefer an online workshop if the teacher that is in this workshop is the right one for me. And I think that a lot gets lost in this marketplace that social media is now. That there are some people that are very good at shouting loud and posting a lot of content and really making content that looks super good, but then maybe not really walking the walk when it comes to customer service or to the quality of the work. You know, like the same that Bruce Lee said, like we all know from restaurants, or let's just say the kebab shop at the corner down on the street. Yeah, if it's a place that only sells kebab, most probably the kebab will be really good. But if it's a place that has kebab and it has pizza and it has fries and it has burgers and it has falafel and it's just like all over the place. Yeah, you can get Greek salad. You know that none of it will be really good. Yeah, because instead of practicing one kick 10,000 times, this cook practices 10,000 kicks one time. Yeah, so for sure what he cooks looks like a burger and it tastes like a burger, but like a really bad burger. And again, I don't mean this in a judgy way. It's capitalism. Yeah, we have to offer everything to everyone. Again, nobody's at fault here, but I'm just saying that being creative and putting it out into the world and not getting deluded in what you're doing is becoming really hard. It's becoming really hard. And I think there also, which is very interesting, that, you know, the whole capitalistic system, well, art, I mean, now we can talk about money in art, but like most of the time there was not real money in art. Yeah, most artists that we now count as very famous and very well recognized, they were very poor and they were starving throughout their lifetimes. So I believe that there is still, you know, like if you want to do something with art, your parents still tell you, oh, that won't make money unless you go corporate or something like that. Yeah. And that's why I believe that a lot of artists also never really developed that, let's say, male energy of pushing things through, of pushing things out, you know, not just birthing them, because we love to birth things, but we're not necessarily good and then like feeding that child and really putting it out into the matrix and making money off of it, or most of us. And yeah, a big inspiration for me on that part is, and I know that I'm blobbing a little bit, I know that I lost the plot a little bit, but I don't care right now, was when I watched a documentary on Andy Warhol, who actually said that marketing is the biggest art of them all. And that really inspired me. And I think now I found the plot again. Because, you know, what I said before about inspiration, that I can like watch Andy Warhol, and I mean, I don't really like his art. It's very generic for me, and I never got the hype, yeah? But I didn't live at that time, so who am I to even have like think I have the possibility to understand it? Plus, I really took inspiration from that sentence, because, you know, when I think his art is kind of more or less crap because it's just copied, but he's marketing it so well, why don't I market my shit that well? You know, so I really like that. But what I said before about the inspiration that comes in and then it flows out, you know, that happens to everything. I took a very beautiful example there with things that inspire you, and then you want to give that back. Like on a physical level, it would be touch. On a emotional level, it would be some feeling of connection or closeness. On a mental level, it would be a new idea, perspective, or insight. And on an astral level, it would be a new vision, a new idea, inspiration. The same goes for bad experiences. Yeah, like watching horror movies can definitely harm the astral body and its visions and its vision of the world. Yeah. And that's only one example. Being around people who think that you're a fraud or that you're manipulative or think anything that's really bad about you, and you spend time in their aura, you don't even have to talk to them. That will be bad inspiration for your mental body. If you're around people that suppress their emotions all the time, that will lead to you also suppressing your emotions. If you are around people that treat their physical body a certain way, no matter if they hype it up too much with going to the gym or if they don't care about it at all, like not showering for 2 weeks, that will also inspire you to become that. And that's why it's so important to understand who we spend our time with, what music we listen to, which podcasts we listen to, what we eat, what we drink, what we use as a perfume, what we use as a soap, everything. Every tiniest little thing is information, and it will be processed through your body, no matter if you want or not. And I believe that a lot of mental illnesses actually come from that we forgot almost that we can choose, because we really like to be entranced by our smartphones. And of course, all the things we see, at some point we followed these accounts, most of them. And so we still think, oh yeah, like that doesn't harm me. But it does, if it's not something that is nurturing to you. Yeah, if it's something that like, and I'm not saying stop sharing ceasefire posts, like not at all. Like this war has to stop immediately. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't post anything that might be triggering or, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying that look very closely at what is nurturing you, what gives you a sense of, because even like being informed on a genocide that's happening and staying informed and being on top of everything that happens information-wise can be nurturing, because you do the right things in your moral. So it's something that is good for you. Yeah. It would not be good if you would feel very helpless and hopeless and would start to hate the whole world because of it. Then it's not nurturing anymore, and then my advice would be to just switch off social media for 2 weeks and then come back. So it always depends on you. And that's why there is no book that will ever cover the truth for everyone. There is no truth that will ever cover everything for everyone, because it matters how you grew up. It just matters what information has already passed through your system. Which experiences did you make that went in through the feminine energy and went back out as actions through the masculine energy? All of this left an imprint. And then it even matters where you came from, what you lived before that life, what your parents did in that life and before that life. There are so many things that matter, because the astral body is connected to a lot of things. So, yeah, it's another story to cover. But I believe when we are creative and we have this inner process of alchemy between the inspiration and the action, it's something very sacred, something very holy, and in my opinion, another tool to free us from the world and another tool to invite Lilith back into our field. That energy that might even be today beyond male and female, because it never really came here and did all of this or experienced everything that happened to us. Yeah, because, I think a lot of what feminism is good, but I don't like that it's so much against the males. Yeah, because in the end, it's a system. Yeah, and the system has to change, and we cannot change the system in the way that it was created. So order, structure, and thinking will not change the system. It will only make it worse, no matter how we try it. But what can really change the system is being creative. Learning what was taught until now, what was found out until now, and then take it from there and go on. Because that's also a creative process. Being inspired by everything that was found out and then go on and do your own thing with it. Yeah? Because that's also Lilith. Who cares if it's absolutely right? What matters is that it gets done so we can proceed from there. Yeah? The other thing is, again, stuck. That's why we're so stuck, because we don't allow ourselves to make mistakes. We don't allow anything in the system to be creative. And when we get creative, things start to flow. They start to change. Because we have this inner marriage. Yeah, we have this, oh, I get information and I put it back out. And as I said before, being creative can be anything. Yeah, we often associate it with creating art. But your life can be a statement of creativity. Because to me, creativity is about finding ways to do things that maybe nobody has done before. Yeah? About, oh, people do it that way. How about I try it that way? Oh, that's interesting. How could it, that's creativity. Creativity is, okay, what other ways would there be to get the same result? Or what other ways would there be to do the whole thing and then see what the result would be of that? That's creativity. And that's the marriage of the inner two. That's being open, receptive, and at the same time giving and closed. So yeah, I hope you liked today's episode. I think that's all I have to say. It's 1313 right here, right now, and 13 is the number of Lilith, so we take that as a very good omen that this was a good podcast. And yeah, I can't wait to talk to you next week again, and I wish you a lovely day ahead and a lovely weekend. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. Bye bye.